What's up YouTube, Sam here. So this video I'm just going to quickly go over my old research paper on the Angolan Civil War and when I've been making changes to it, and next week I should have it completely finished and I'll upload that video. So this first page was just the title and then like a brief statement of what all these acronyms were. So this was the introduction. Briefly, in the beginning of the brief history, I gave probably like 3 pages of history, just going over what happened actually during the Angolan Civil War. This was it, just continued explaining the beginning of the conflict, and I laid it out in 4 different stages. And essentially, the topic of my research paper is to explain how the Angolan Civil War was not just a proxy battle of the Cold War, but actually what happened is the Cold War just kind of intensified the conflict, and that's a framework that was previously used in another paper about I think it was about China, maybe China or maybe even Korea, but it's also something that can be applied to several conflicts in Latin America and also Ethiopia, and also even Vietnam, which most people see as just like a disaster for the U.S., but just viewing it as the U.S. versus the Vietnamese communists greatly reduces the role of the South Vietnamese government, which, I mean, had several of its leaders were assassinated for going against American policies, so obviously they had their own agency, and this is also true of South Korea. So any idea of 2 monolithic U.S. versus USSR, or just the forces of the West versus the forces of communism, it's a great oversimplification. And so that was the essential paper. After I went into the actual individual agents and on 3 different levels, U.S. and the Soviets, and then on the regional level with South Africa and Cuba, and then on the local level with the MPLA and the UNITA, which were the local actors. And I just showed how each of them had their own vested interest in the conflict. And then these last couple pages are all the paragraphs I actually removed. The paper actually had to be 20-something pages, but something that I think I found a lot in college is that you end up just writing for your professor rather than how you would normally write or how the paper would best be served. So even though I think I can get the point out in only like 10, 12, maybe 14 pages, the assignment was it had to be 20 to 25 pages. And so I ended up removing several pages simply because I didn't think they were useful. And another thing is that you find a lot of resources and they're interesting and you want to try and put them in, but they just don't end up having a place. And so these are all just the removals. And so I'm probably gonna edit some of them and put them back in, and hopefully I'll be able to upload it by the weekend, and I'll show you that. So have a nice one, YouTube.